The blizzard came down from the mountains like something alive, howling and clawing at the land with a hunger that had no mercy. And Eli Carter felt it in his bones, long before he saw it swallow the horizon. A white wall rolling across the territory, raising sky and earth alike. The kind of storm that didn't just kill cattle or freeze fences, but wiped names off maps and left crosses on lonely hills. And Eli, a rancher who had spent his entire life reading weather the way other men read books, knew he had minutes at most to make it back to his cabin or die trying. Yet it was the sight of a dark shape, half buried near the frozen ravine, that made him pull hard on the reins and curse under his breath, because no matter how cruel the land had been to him over the years, stealing his parents, his brother, and nearly his hope, it hadn't taken his humanity, not yet. And as he dismounted into knee-deep snow, with the wind screaming like a banshee, he saw that the shape was a woman, barely conscious, her coat torn, her hair crusted with ice, lips blue, one leg twisted at an angle that made his stomach tighten. And for a split second, the smarter part of him told him to leave her, to survive, to ride hard and live. But the better part, the part that had kept him feeding orphan calves and fixing fences that would just break again, knelt beside her instead, wrapping his own coat around her trembling body as the storm swallowed them whole. He lifted her with gritted teeth, every step back to his horse a battle against the wind that threatened to tear them apart. And when he finally reached his cabin hours later, barely alive himself, he laid her by the fire and worked through the night, splinting her leg with shaking hands, warming her skin, feeding her spoonfuls of broth when she could barely swallow. Never once asking who she was or where she came from, because out here, survival came before questions. And when dawn finally broke pale and cruel over a land buried in white, Eli slumped into a chair and slept like a man already half dead. She woke later, eyes sharp despite her weakness, taking in the rough-hewn cabin, the scars on his hands, the quiet strength in the way he moved. And though pain flashed across her face when she tried to shift, she didn't cry out, didn't beg, didn't thank him either. Not yet, and that alone told Eli she wasn't like the drifters or settlers who passed through these parts, because there was something measured about her gaze, something accustomed to command even while broken. And as days passed with the storm trapping them together, he learned small things. She spoke carefully, never wasting words. She knew how to assess livestock injuries better than most men he knew. She watched the land through the window like she owned it. And she asked questions about his ranch with a precision that bordered on unsettling. While Eli told her little of himself, only that the ranch barely survived, that the territory was changing, that powerful interests were buying land and pushing men like him into the dirt. And each time he spoke of it, a flicker passed through her eyes, something like guilt or calculation. And one night, as the fire cracked low and the wind finally died, she asked him why he'd saved her when he knew it could have killed him. And Eli shrugged, staring into the flames, saying only that if he'd left her there, he wouldn't have survived anyway, not in the ways that mattered. She fell silent then, the weight of something unspoken pressing between them. And outside, the land lay quiet and waiting, unaware that the man who saved a stranger in a blizzard had just altered the fate of the largest ranch in the territory without even knowing it. Because the woman resting beneath his roof was no drifter at all, but power wrapped in flesh and blood, a ruler of land and cattle, whose name made men bow and fortunes rise or fall. And as she closed her eyes that night, listening to the steady sounds of Eli moving about his cabin, she realized for the first time in her life that someone had saved her without wanting anything in return, and that realization would change everything. And if you're hooked by this moment, where fate collides with sacrifice, don't forget to subscribe to the channel right now, because this is only the beginning, and the storm outside was nothing compared to what's coming next.